All right, everybody, welcome back to the week. It is Monday, and you're getting some bonus audio here from the Sit Down Shut Uppers. Tomorrow in the United States, we are all going to be clenching our butts real tight because democracy feels like it's on the line. So if you live in the United States and you haven't yet voted, vote and vote for Kamala Harris. I'm not going to bring politics into the show very much, but God damn it, there's one choice to be made in this election. And hopefully when we come back to you this Friday, we will be celebrating the continued life of democracy.
Go blue. Okay.
Go blue. Yes. So we have some bonus audio for you. And I put the question out there, asked what you guys want us to talk about. We got some great responses. So let's get them underway. There's a few that fall into kind of the same camp. So we will be kind of talking about all of them at once. 8-Bit Bruchet said, I am always advocating for more focus on the women, especially an all-women show. What would you like to see in that vein? A pay-per-view, a Dynamite special, C2 Tag Team Championship? And Neon Ghost jumped in on that. Said, I couldn't think of anything, but this is good. Put me down for this too, Blade. Thoughts on a women's revolution? And Ms. Malaki said, I want a women's show. I do not want shitty pink branding.
Fair enough.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. And then I believe there was another comment in the same vein. What do we think of women's tag titles happen? This is Rerun 17. Ready for Deanna Taya, Saraya Harley, Nyla Rio, Renegade Twins to tear it up. I think that there's so many things. I think they could definitely do a special of some type that is, focused on that. Oh, Decamp's also added. Given that Rampage is likely going away in a few months, do you agree that it would make sense to just showcase women for the whole hour? If nothing else, it gets them in front of the crowd. I don't see the harm in that at all, to be honest. You could make Rampage an all-women show. It is not being renewed, so make the most of that time. Do something significant with that time. And maybe use it as the testing ground to see if there is room for an all-women show by using that hour. Just give it all to the women. What do you think, Joshi?
I've been saying this for a while. I say turn Rampage into a women's show for a while, see how it does, since it's not going to be renewed anyway. As for the other suggestions, tag titles, no. Not right now. I'm sorry to say it, but what time is going to be given to these ladies for tag matches? Already on Dynamite, we're only getting one women's match. I'm keeping my fingers crossed that it changes down the line. I can see an all-women's show potentially happening once they move to streaming. That will be a different story. I feel they'll be able to do a lot more then and won't have to worry about the ratings discourse and all that stuff. But right now, they do care to an extent, so I like the idea of women's tag belts. Truly, I do. But the timing right now, it's not going to happen. If you, look at it this way. In general, we're already saying we want more. We want more from the women. We want 2 women's matches. We want this. We want that. If they add the tag belts now, we're going to complain even more. It's not going to go in the right direction right now. It really needs to be once they switch to HBO Max, well, once it's telecast on HBO Max, that I can see them doing more of that. At the moment, no. And as for a women's pay-per-view, I think that would be the really the last step. I think first you test out an all-women's show, then you play around with HBO Max, test out the women's tag belts and whatnot, and then eventually you give us an all-women's pay-per-view. I say, if you're gonna do it, you do it properly.
Yeah, no, that's great feedback, Joshi. I think that ultimately we all want the women to be featured more. I think that there's more things that could be possible too, like a streaming special on Max as a way to drive subscribers to Max, which would be enormously beneficial to everyone. I think there's a possibility for that. I think that there's What I would like to see, I think, in the short term is women be involved in different kinds of matches. I want to see triple threat matches, tag matches. I want to see a women's what are they that elimination, the casino
gauntlet
match. That's what I want to see.
Yeah.
I want to see a women's casino gauntlet match. I would love to see a women's C2. I don't think you should run it at the same time as the men's C2. They should happen at different times so that it's not just the entire all of AEW's in tournaments at the same time. But I do think that all of those are great ideas. I do think eventually having a tag title would be cool. But for now, I would settle for what I think would make more sense is to get more women on the show, have women's tag matches, have women's triple threats, four-way matches, whatever. Have a casino gauntlet match for the women. Maybe on one of these pay-per-views where they're always putting men's casino gauntlet matches on, put a women's casino gauntlet match on instead. I think that would be all very helpful. And you get more women on the shows. You display more women's talent, especially on the pay-per-views where you're probably going to get two matches at best. Wrestle Dream had one, on the main card. So if you're going to have two, for instance, defend the TBS title in a fucking gauntlet match. They've done it before, I believe, so they could do it again. I think Ospreay defended his the international title in a gauntlet match once, or maybe not, but whatever. The point is, you could have that on a pay-per-view and people would love it. People would absolutely love it. So great suggestions. I do think you do have those women's tag teams that you could have. Deanna and Taya, Saraya and Harley. Nyla and Rio is a really inspired tag team. I love that idea. And the Renegade Twins. Obviously, all of them could be really, really important. Thank you, 8-Bit Bruchet, D Camps. Thank you, Ms. Malaki and Deanna Ghost. Next one, Too Fat to Cook. Great question. Two questions. What are your favorite wrestling video games is the first one. My favorite wrestling video games are probably still No Mercy, NWO versus WCW, and Mayhem, not Mayhem, the one that came shortly after that again, or World Tour, was in there too. Those are probably still my favorite. I really loved the idea for AEW Fight Forever. It just didn't have enough match types, unfortunately, and the roster ended up being outdated by the time the game ever came to fruition. So, could have been great. I certainly loved Here Comes the Pain. I loved a lot of the wrestling games that WWE did at various times. The creation engines were incredible. I really want an AEW competitive Fight Forever game that, not a Fight Forever game, but an AEW video game that feels like next level, and Fight Forever wasn't quite it. Joshi, what about you? What are your favorite video games?
WWF No Mercy. That's my favorite wrestling video game.
Fuck yeah. It was so good. So good. The thing is, like, people want a GM mode, people want all this stuff. I just loved on No Mercy, you could just make your own card. I really loved that. Some extension of that would be a lot of fun. And I like when you could book people as rivals and you can book people as factions. I really enjoyed that too. So I'd want to see that in an AEW game. That was really a big miss this go around. And just also triple threat tag team matches. More match types. But so those are our favorite games. Who is the best wrestler turned actor? And why is it Batista? Too Fat to Cook asks. I agree. I think it's Batista. Joshi.
Definitely Batista. I didn't think he would be a good actor, but after watching Guardians of the Galaxy, he made me laugh so hard, and he was so convincing. So for me, 100% Batista. I don't have an issue with Dwayne Johnson. It's just that he tends to play the same character over and over and over again. He's an action guy. Batista, I feel, has more substance.
I think Dwayne is very funny when he wants to be. I don't think he's necessarily a great actor per se. I couldn't see Dwayne starring in a bunch of like dramas.
No.
You know, he is a great action star for what it's worth. But I think Batista's a much more well-rounded actor than Dwayne will ever be. And John Cena is very entertaining as well when he's in movies. But I think those are the guys that you'd have to put kind of at the top. You know, Stone Cold did some acting, but he didn't really like it, and you can tell.
He just played Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yeah,
he's not
with
a
a
good
different
actor.
name
He's
in a
bad.
different movie.
Yeah.
Hulk Hogan was a terrible actor.
Yeah.
Absolutely god awful. Fuck Hulk Hogan for life. Too Fat to Cook made sure to say F the Hulk Hogan at the end of the comment. So yeah, those are my picks. Those are your picks, Joshi. You ready to move on?
Yep.
The one lascivious. This is a great question, and you're going to have to take a minute to think about it. If you had to pick 3 unconventional wrestlers to back you up in a fight of some kind, who would it be? Like unconventional in the sense of ones you don't hear people typically use as answers to this. So no Haku, no, I'm going to say no William Regal. Everybody knows Regal is really like a badass, so you can't use him. Who else? You know, Bobby Lashley, Brock Lesnar, Kurt Angle. You can't use them. And then the one lascivious did us a favor and said what theirs would be. Shelton Benjamin, the man's credentials should speak for itself. Chad Gable for the same reason, and Shayna Baszler could wrap someone up and get them unconscious with ease, they'd imagine. And then they also said they could have added Chris Masters. Dude pulled a small tree out of the ground and threw it through a window. That's an intimidation thing, if I've ever heard it. I'm going to say for me, I'd want John Moxley backing me up, I think, for real. I would say Moxley. Honestly, Chris Jericho. The dude has gotten in a lot of fucking fights in wrestling, and I think he's at least willing to fight. My third. I'm going to say Darby Allin. I just feel like he'd be willing to do some crazy shit. And you know that guy's probably stabbed somebody at least once.
Dude, are you serious? Darby was my pick.
What the fuck?
Darby was my pick because he's just so insane, and I know he'd be willing to do anything for me.
Well, you can pick Darby too. You can pick Darby too.
I'm just messing with you, but yeah, Darby Allin for sure because he's psychotic. Pac because he's also psychotic.
You know, Pac feels like a guy who could go too. He feels like a guy who'd fight.
Yeah. John Moxley came to mind as well, actually, so it's funny that you mentioned him. And I will say, although I already named 3, most likely MVP, because apparently he is something when it comes to backstage fights. So
well,
MVP,
you don't hear a lot about people like beating up Chris Jericho. You hear about him getting in scuffles, but it's kind of they're broken up or he wins or whatever. MVP beat his ass. Like he knocked him out. Yeah. So yeah, I should have picked MVP. You picked MVP. Fair enough. Fair enough. But good picks. I think we both had some good picks. I would definitely have Chris Jericho on my team just because he's crazy. He doesn't back down. D-Camps 2024 and Hater Royalty had already asked about the women on Rampage. Secondly, do you think the tag division suffers massively because of the trios belts? And then add something really interesting here. I miss the glory days of the AEW tag titles. I say keep the trios titles, but make them trios rules, which is a Lucha Libre, Lucha Underground, everyone in the ring when they want, no tags, tornado style to differentiate them. Completely agree with that idea. I love that. Is like no tags, make them more like of a Lucha Trios title. Completely agree with that. What do you think of that, Joshi?
I completely agree. I think the tag team division has suffered quite a bit ever since they've introduced the trios belts, but that doesn't mean that, that's it. There's nothing that they can do. I do think there's been focus on the tag division again, which is great. As for the trios division, it's really been up and down. We know that Pac, Wheeler Yuta, and Claudio are the trios champions, and I don't even remember the last time they wrestled. I think they just won those belts, and that was pretty much it.
They defended them one time, remember, because it was part of an angle. Like, is Wheeler gonna show up and defend these with us?
Oh, yeah. On the Title Tuesday, right?
Right.
Um,
It was the one right
so
before.
yeah, so I mean, if they want to keep those belts, fine, but you gotta do something different. So I do like the whole tornado trios type of match. I think that's a really good idea. Um, so yeah, just differentiate it, but definitely make the tag belts seem more prestigious, which is what they've been doing the past 2 months. So I think I think that's going well so far. We'll see what happens with the trio belts, though.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. I think that that does. I don't think the trios titles need to be like prestigious. You know what I mean? Like
No, no.
they can just be fun, and just those matches are chaotic and wild. And having people tag in and out makes it seem too similar to tag team wrestling. And I think that is what maybe holds back the two titles feeling different from each other. And when you tie up tag teams in those trios matches as well. Then Decamps added, do you think the tag division could benefit from a C2 style tournament? Yeah, I think that could be really fun.
That would be
Joshi?
really cool. I mean, yeah, why not? They could test it out, right?
Yeah, I would say do a women's tournament first. But yeah, a C2 style tournament could be a lot of fun for tag teams. Smaller brackets because there's less tag teams. But could be a lot of fun. I think a tag team tournament of some type would be a lot of fun.
I agree.
Lee Mardoni, hey Mardoni, just piped up. Just a reminder that abroad, Thunder Rosa is defending the RCPW Women's Championship. Mina has and is defending the Rev Pro Women's World Championship. MLP is up and running. So much good stuff happening that is going to make Forbidden Door season spank. I'm at Pro Wrestling Eve show tonight and got to see Momo Watanabe.
Oh,
Wondering if I'm going to see Ospreay or if he'll keep it kayfabe. His ma'am is wrestling tonight. Then she added, he broke kayfabe, LOL. He's here and walking fine. No need to worry, everyone. So less of a question, more of just a fun comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Lee.
Thanks, Tony. Skewered Universe podcast. Great question. Do you think AEW should continue to do Fright Night, insert closest show to Halloween here, going forward? Would you like to see more themed shows from AEW aside from what we've already seen from them? Yeah, I would. I thought Fright Night was such a great themed show. It's their best one so far. And, they do a New Year's themed show, New Year's Slam. I would love to see like a Hanukkah show, a Christmas show.
Christmas.
Anything to make it more to stand out just a little more. And load it up, but you don't have to make it a pay-per-view quality show. Maybe instead of Winter is Coming, which, was from, themed with what's that fucking show?
Oh, Game of Thrones. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Instead of making a Game of Thrones style theme, they could just make a more of a Christmas holiday kind of Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa kind of themed show.
All festive. Yeah.
All festive. And it's kind of a super show, but it's not a pay-per-view quality show. So that you don't take anything away from World's End. Thanksgiving style show. Tony Khan is a big believer in those shows. They always do one in Chicago. I think they could go further with it if they wanted to. But I loved, this felt like Halloween Havoc to me. I really loved Fright Night Dynamite. They have to do it every year.
Every year. It was an amazing show.
Yeah. So yes, my answer is yes. I would love to see more of these types of shows. It was a blast. It was campy. It was fun. Just loved it. Loved it.
I agree. Yes, for me as well.
And that's it for your questions and your comments. Thank you all so much for participating. Remember, tomorrow, if you're an American, democracy's on the line. I'm not kidding. And I will not hesitate to put that ahead of us having a podcast. So I will do my civic duty and remind you to vote. It's a very important thing. And this time, I really think you need to vote for Kamala. So please do that. I'm Blade Daly.
I'm Joshi G. Go out there and vote blue, guys.
And this Friday night, we will be back, hopefully in a very good mood with very good news to share. But until then, catch your ass down the road. See ya.